Santa María, Madre de Dios, cielo santificado sea tu nombre. Santa María, Madre de Dios.
So today on Sancista Brujo Luis, I am going to be doing a video on an interesting little book of secrets, an Iberian book of secrets. Iberian is from the Iberian Peninsula, which is today modern day Spain and Portugal. This book of secrets dates back to around the Baroque, the Georgian, and the Romantic era, which predates the Victorian era, and it is called Pactum. Pactum in Latin means to make a pact, and the Spanish name is Pactum, la obra magistral de la Hechiceria Antigua. In English, this is Pactum, the masterpiece of ancient sorcery. So this is the little book that I'm going to be speaking to you today on Sancista Brujo Luis. Now the book Pactum, which is right here, El Pactum, or La Obra Magistral de la Hechiceria Antigua, is a very interesting libro de secreto. Libro de secreto would be a spell book, a book of secrets. Many people are titling this a grimoire, and it is not a grimoire. In the book, there's no making pacts with spirits, no sigils. Okay, and it dates back to around the late 1700s. One of the most classic of Hispanic books. I'm sorry, not Hispanic, Spanish from Spain, because this is from Spain. Spanish books of magic. Okay, no known author. Okay, there is no known author, and you can pick this up today. This one I ordered from Spain, but literally you can pick up a cheap paperback. It looks like it was done in a cheap machine and stapled. There's a whole bunch of different editions of this that they still sell in botanicas today. I'm going to show you pictures along the way. Again, it dates back to around the 1757, no known author. It has been mentioned in other works from as far back as the late 1700s, in other Spanish books, from as far back as the late 1700s, 1800s. So this is a very old spell book. No, it is not known who was the original writer, who wrote it. But it's important to have because this is part of history, okay? Within Spanish, brujeria. Brujeria is witchcraft or folk magic as it was practiced in Spain, and how that Spanish witchcraft, or European witchcraft, was brought down to Latin America. And many of the spells within El Pactum you will see still used today by rural brujas, brujas that live in the rural areas of Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, all Latin America. You will see that this book of magic influenced them in some way. Now, like I said, there's no known author of who wrote the book. This is La Danza Nocturna, which is the Nocturnal Dance, which is a ritual. Then there's Hechizo para enamorar, sorry about that, which is a spell for love, or to make someone fall in love. Much of the spells in this book of spells has to do with love magic. Para dominar a los hombres, to dominate a man. Para conseguir el amor de un viudo, okay. Para hacerse para hacerse amor ciegamente. Then we have La Hechiceria Antigua, okay, which is the second part of the book. Para triunfar en las empresas. So most of the spells, if you notice, are low magic. A lot of people confusing this with a grimoire, which is more high magic. Low magic is rural magic, folk magic, magic that people would go when they need of a bruja. Someone that removes curses, that does love potions, that does cleansings and healings. That is what is considered low magic, or magia baja. While high magic is more ceremonial magic, magia ceremonial. La estrella mágica, the magical star. So this book, I'm going to show you pictures, some interesting pictures. Through, as you'll see the screenshots. So this little spell book has around 100. This one right here, this one has 115 pages. Never really check the paperback ones that you find in the Botanicas. The one in the Botanicas are really cheap copies. Okay, I ordered this one from Spain just so that I could do the video, and one because I love to collect books on magic and spell books and grimoires that are very historical in reference. Much of the magic here, you have to understand, is from a different era. So you will see in this spell book that they use animal parts. They will use black cat's hair. They will use, actually there's a spell in here of how to shut up an enemy using a toad and sewing the toad's mouth shut. So most of the magic in this spell book or book of secrets, a lot of modern day witches would not really find useful because they'd find it very barbaric. Actually, I've done a couple of reviews on other spell books, and many, and I'm not here to criticize anybody, but many modern day witches criticized the video because they said that witches don't do this type of magic. All the videos that I've ever talked about, or any book that I've collected, or I've done a review on, are on historical books, historical magic, not just done in, of course, in Europe, but also in Egypt, in ancient African cultures. And much of that magic, whether modern day witches in the United States or Europe may not do it, you will still see much of this magic done in Africa, in Latin America, in Mexico, where you will see diableros, diableras, muerteros, muerteras. They do perform this form of magic. Okay, very simple. Okay, very simple form of magic, and it is folk magic. Within el Pactum, you will find spells or hechizos, which go in between that which is holy and that which is profane, that which is religious and that which is diabolical. As you will know, in many Hispanic cultures, you will see Hispanic or Spanish witches, brujas, in the same way that they invoke the powers of heaven and its angels and its saints, God and all its saints. Many brujas will also invoke or call upon diabolical energies, lower level entities such as Lucifer, Satanás, El Diablo. And it's a book for, just to have as a historical book, that this is part of historical Hispanic or Spanish magic. El Pactum is broken down into many of my followers will ask me, Well, do I practice the magic or the spells that are in El Pactum? And one of my answers, well, my first answer is no, because most of the spells within El Pactum have to do with dominating, controlling, dominating a lover, controlling a partner, bringing back a lost lover, okay? And so people are wondering, well, why am I doing a review or talking about El Pactum? Well, there's two reasons why. But first, let me say one thing that I need people to understand, and this is my personal beliefs. One, you cannot, with magic, you cannot bring the dead back into life. One. Two, you cannot force a person with the use of magic to love you. I have known many brujas and brujos who have done spells to dominate a person or to bring back a lover. I have seen it with my own eyes. And usually these relationships are toxic, volatile. They are not based on love itself, but on an illusion. Usually the couple is unhappy. Okay, and oftentimes they live a long time where they could have, separated and choose to move on and find someone that would have been good for them. They choose to live a toxic relationship where it's not based on love, but it's based on magic where one of the partners is controlled. So again, I don't believe that you can bring the dead back into physical life, into a body, okay? And I do not believe that you can control someone to love you. So I just wanted to state that. Now, what is the reason why I'm doing why am I speaking about El Pactum? Well, I love to collect historical books on magic from all cultures. This is important for Hispanics because many of the spells that are within Pactum, you will see modern interpretations of them within our Hispanic culture. And in order to understand a people, you have to understand their religious views, what have they contributed to art, music, philosophy, science. And I also believe in order to understand a people, you have to understand, for me, their literature. Literature being religious, poetry, whatever it may be, and also their magical beliefs. The beliefs about magic. That's how you understand a people. Now, within El Pactum, one thing that I find it very interesting within this, you will find many trabajos or spells that are still used. And actually, I did a video not that long ago where, and not knowing that it was in this book, because I didn't own the book at the time, where is it? Right here. Sortilegio de la Piedra Imán, which is a spell for the lodestone. Okay, when I read this, I was like, this is what I do, and I never knew where or how, what's the reason that I do it, but it's right here. And again, this book, El Pactum, the earliest mention of it is from 1757. So you can see how this has influenced Hispanic magic within the Caribbean in itself. For my Hispanic community, for Spanish-speaking people, I highly recommend this book. It delves into part of our culture, our history, understanding why we do the magic that we do. Okay, this is not for everyone. Much of the spells, like I said, they do use things, animals. There's animal hairs, there's blood, there's pacts with devils, calling on saints. Many modern witches would not find this comfortable. I've noticed a resurgence lately or an interest within Spanish magic, Hispanic magic, or magic that comes from the Iberian Peninsula, which is modern day Spain and Portugal. And this all started with this book, and I'm not going to go too deep into this book right here. And I'll probably talk about this book in a future video. But this is the book that started it, and this is an English version of an important Spanish grimoire. And I'll talk about that, or a Spanish book of magic, but I'll talk about that in the future. And this one's translated in English. But for the first time, I want to show everyone that Pactum, the Spanish book of spells, can be found in English. And if you can find it, luckily I found it in a hardback, and I think they're doing a paperback version of it. But here it is. This is the English version of Pactum. Okay, and I'm going to put this one to the side. And here it is, El Pactum, or Pactum, the English version, and it is by the author Mike Kecheteli. I probably said that wrong. He authored also a book called The Holy Guardian Angel, the Book of Abrasax, and The Cross Keys, amongst other books that he has published. This is a hardback, a limited edition. Look at how beautiful it is. Just want you to see just that front cover. And this is a limited Pactum. This is a limited Pactum, the masterpiece of ancient sorcery. This is a limited. I think this is number 320. I could be wrong. From 525. It was published in 2006. And this is the company that publishes it, the Nephilim Press. And what I like about the English version, it does go exactly to the Pactum, as is the Pactum, word for word, or the best way that he can translate it. This is an introduction of the Pactum. And right here, Pactum is said to have surfaced for the first time in 1757. Okay? Surfaced. Then this is just pretty much an introduction to the book, an essay from Jason Miller, and an essay from Rufus Opus. And then part 1, requirements for those who would exercise the arte or arts magical. Now, what's interesting about this, he goes into the tools. Right here we have the white-handed knife, the black-handed knife, the sword, the dagger. This is also mentioned in the Pactum, but in the Pactum it's mentioned in the second part, or the ending of the book, while here he placed it in the beginning, and it makes more sense that he did that. I like that he organized it way better. And there's an initiation, or it talks about initiation within Iberian magic. And then it goes into right here, Pactum, la obra magistral de la Hechiceria Antigua, the masterpiece of ancient of the night, and la danza nocturna. Okay, and I like the way that he separated the spell that is to be spoken, and every spell here is word for word of what you will find within the Spanish Pactum. Here is the one that I was speaking about, of the lodestone. So, to be loved blindly, to dominate men, to succeed in matters of business. It's just a very fascinating and interesting book on how magic was done 1700s and prior, because this is a view, or you're looking into a looking glass of how magic was done before. To bless a child, to have an easy childbirth, to shut the mouth of a rival, against infidelity, to to conquer the heart of he or she you dream of. Again, I do not practice a magic on dominating a lover, exorcisms. And then this one I think I showed this earlier in this, yeah, right there. So it's beautiful. Now he breaks it down into 3 books, or 3 chapters within this book. And so let me show you the 3 chapters. Part 1 within the English version of Pactum is the last chapter in the Spanish, which talks about the tools used in magic within Iberian magic. And in the Spanish Pactum, this will be I think it's the last chapter, or one of the final chapters. Chapter 2 of the English version of Pactum. Again, it's word for word as it is in the Spanish version. To cause the evil eye. Prayer to protect themselves from the evil spirits. And I think I've showed this in earlier. Holy, holy, holy house of Jerusalem. A purification of one's home against curses. So this right here goes word for word how the Spanish Pactum is. And then chapter 3, which I put this dagger to keep it, is a modern interpretation of how the Pactum can be used in modern magic, or, you know, how modern people would use it. So you will see right here, to endure an absent person and make them love you. You will see items that you will find within a botanica. Let's see. To be loved madly. Hair from the head of a person. Scissors, a small. This is not in the Pactum, but this is more of a modern interpretation of right here. When I always tell people how to cross a candle, this talks about it. To be loved blindly. Let me find so that you can see wax. Items that you know that they didn't have in those days. I'm trying to find a good trabajo, or good right here. A gold ring, silver ring, gold fillings, silver fillings, copper fillings, a spell of the lodestone, salt, holy water. You can see it's just a modern interpretation, or how it would be used or done today. This is the knot spell. Yep. El hechizo de los nudos, de los 7 nudos, the 7 knot spells. Attracting love. Red and pink candle. Come to me oil. You know that come to me oil they didn't have in the olden days. In Spain, they would use olive oil, and they would either sprinkle herbs within the oil. None of these come to me oils, love me oils existed in those days. Follow me boy, girl oil. That of course didn't exist in Spain in those days of 1700s or 1800s. So this is just a modern interpretation of how to use the Pactum, or how the Pactum would be used in modern day brujeria or witchcraft. This book is much bigger, of course, because the original Pactum is like 100 and it has a 5th chapter, but it has 120 pages or so, and this goes on in Pactum, which is interesting because it goes into how often should I cast a spell on a target? Can I cast a spell too often or too little? Right here, how important is the days of the week, the planet hours, the moon cycles. How do I use the planet hours again? And it just keeps going. What if X spell doesn't seem to be working? How long do I wait for it to work? So of course, this of course is not in the Pactum. Why the heck are we using urine in love spells? Urine, we know that we do use urine in Hispanic brujeria. Can I use obsession work on a partner or friend that I am currently seeing quite a bit or speak too often? So again, a lot of modern day witches would definitely shun this, but a lot of people who collect magic or books or grimoires or people who collect, there's two collectors that can use this book. People who like historical books and people who like to collect books on magic, miscellaneous spells. So this is the last chapter, which just asks questions. Can I work, say, reconciliation work on myself? I am still angry with my target. Chapter so I found that was very interesting. Or the modern interpretation is broken down into 9 chapters in itself. Many of the items you can find in any local market or botanicas. So we're going to look at just the headings of the 9 chapters, which was the first one. So of course, introduction. And chapter 1 is attracting love. Chapter 2 is attracting a specific person. Chapter 3, which is love drawing. Now, there's an interesting part in chapter 3, which you will see a lot in Hispanic brujeria and Southern American hoodoo. The use of menstrual blood, the use of semen, vaginal secretion. Let me see. The use of blood, the use of the hair of the head, hair of the face, pubic hair, toenails and fingernails, spit, socks, dirty underpants, okay, and worn clothing. Oh, okay. Number 11 are sweatbands from a hat used to influence thoughts. And you will see that a lot in Hispanic brujeria and hoodoo. Chapter 4 is sweetening spells and reconciliation spells. Now, a few pages. This is page 129. 138. 138 is some important. Why is this person so important? If the answer is no, why did you break up? Were they cheating? If the breakup was a surprise, are you just seeking to be reunited? What else? How many times have you broken up? So I love that they added that to chapter 5 is removing a rival, breakup work, removing, overcoming obstacles to love and reconciliation. Chapter 6, love binding, keeping a target with you, tying the target's nature. This is 165, and I found this part very interesting, which starts off at 173. While men tend to lose their ability to get an erection for other women, often have. I think this is a book you should definitely read. It's not meant. It's all about just the magic, how Spanish people view magic, their thoughts within magic. Usually magic of love, motion, dominating. Chapter 7, obsession, controlling techniques, revenge spells to. What can I read today? To get over someone. And this is in here, just a page that I just looked through. You will need a skull-shaped candle in purple, preferred, licorice root, poppy seeds. So you can see that these are items that you will find in a botanica. This is, like I said, was not in the original Pactum. It's just a modern interpretation. Chapter 8 of Book 3 is dolls, tricks, baths, and miscellany. Again, you will not find this in the Spanish Pactum, but I found this very interesting, how to dress candles up, okay, which I've talked about that in previous videos, and down when you're dressing a candle. How to add oils to your candle. Again, This is very, you can see a lot of his influence within Latin American and Spanish magic. Okay, what else is in here? Cloth dolls, muñequitos, as what we call them in Spanish. There's clay dolls somewhere in here. So I found that very interesting within the book as well. There's the making of a clay doll. I think there's a making of a candle doll of the English version of Pactum, which is part 1, asserting the situation and knowing what work to apply. And then a few pages down, we find when to give up. This part right here is pretty interesting too. Sweetening work, to sweeten up a friend, boss, or a lover. Love drawing, reconciliation, breakup, love binding, obsession, love dissolving, communication, road opener, and block buster. Oh, there's one more over here, controlling and compelling. So I found that very interesting as well. Again, this is none of this on the third book is part of the original Pactum, but it's very interesting nonetheless. And of course, the final chapter of Pactum, which I spoke of earlier. And it is a hardcover, beautiful. I love this work. So to my Pactum English speaking audience, if you can obtain this book by Mike Hechiceria, maybe I'm saying the name wrong, I'm sorry. It is a hard back book, Pactum, okay, published by Nephilim. If you can get your hands on it, I definitely recommend it. It is a beautiful book. I only own 2 books by this company. The other one is this one right here, which is right here, also numbered. I heard that the Pactum is going to be done, and look at how beautiful that cover is. The Book of Saint Cyprian. And I think this one is numbered as well. Yes, it is right there. Okay, and I think they are also doing this one in paperback. And I hope that they will do this in paperback. I heard that the author of this book is also doing more books on Spanish magic, Iberian books of magic, and I can't wait for them to come out. I highly recommend it, not necessarily because I practice this magic, but because I am a collector of books of magic, spell books. So I definitely highly recommend it. And I hope that this does come out in paperback. If you do read Spanish and you want to go to a Botanica and check if you can find, sadly to say, the ones in the Botanica are cheaply paperbacks. I ordered this one from Spain. It's a nice little hardcover version of it, but I definitely highly recommend it as just as a collectible and just to study on magic and know the roots of a people's magic and their way of thinking and how they practice magic. Anyways, this is Sancista Brujo Luis. I'm probably making this video a lot longer than it should be, and I hope more books like this come out. They are important. They should be preserved. I think they should be preserved, and I think people who are interested in them should own them. Beautiful book. I highly recommend it. Again, if you speak Spanish and you can go to a Botanica, look up the Pactum. Okay, Sancista Brujo Luis, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit like, share, subscribe. If you want to see more about this book, let me know, and I'll probably do that in the future. Sancista Brujo Luis. Great book. Just for understanding and as a collectible. Sancista Brujo Luis.